Geltman and Weld on the Hammer Factor. Take it away, boys.
All right, welcome to Hammer Factor. Hammer Factor. To Hammer Factor, episode 35, the Green Race Wrap-Up Edition. My name is John Grace, and with me in the cyber studio today is Whitewater legend, co-owner of Immersion Research, and how about the Stoutmeister of the Hammer Factor, John Weld. Also on the cyber studio, we have the Doctor of Doom, North Fork champion, and policy director for the Outdoor Alliance, Louis Geltman. All right, we're back. It's been a little bit of a while. We've had a lot of stuff going on here, and we're excited to get into the show.
Hold on, excuse me. Grace, I hate to interrupt. I hate to bring the show down, but I've held my tongue long enough on this.
Okay, what do you got?
And I have to say, last show, you guys said some terrible things about dem shits and what they've done to this, what they provided this sport. And I cannot sit here and let this stand any longer. And I think it's time that I spoke up and said something.
Okay, well,
dem shits has been far more influential in this sport than you two gave them credit for. Well, I just have to get that off my chest. There's just a lot of half-truths and claims made by you and Rush and some other people about Balls Deep Productions and gang signs and things like that I don't think was fair at all.
Okay. What brought you to this epiphany there?
Yeah, this is coming out of left field here.
Well... let's just. Yeah, I think I've said enough, but I think we should. I think it's time we had Dave Fusilli on to clear the air a little bit and set you two straight, essentially.
Okay. All right. Well, we will have Mr. Fusilli on. I believe we have him slated to come on here in just a little bit. But before we get into that, what exactly did Lewis say, or did I say it, or what was said?
I just left that show with a real bad feeling, a real bad taste in my mouth about how those guys were treated. And it's just not right.
Okay.
It's just not right.
Okay.
I can't hold my silence on this.
All right.
It just embarrasses me to see you like this, Weld. It just takes the slightest bit of arm twisting and you just cave like a 12-year-old hauled in by the mall cop for shoplifting. It's just pathetic, man. You used to be a man of character who would stand up for his controversial positions, unafraid to unabashedly talk shit about things he was vaguely aware of. And I'm embarrassed.
Well, I think I can't wait to have Dave come on and to say his piece, because I think you two are in for a big surprise.
All right, so we have a wonderful show lined up. Green Race Wrap-Up. We got a rebuke here from Dave Fusilli and the Dimshits crew, which I'm not sure where this is going. Geltman's going to do his best to ruin our week with everything that's going on in Washington, D.C. and policy. Viewer mail, we got some really good viewer mail. A really good featured segment, the Anonymous Boat Review. Now I'm not sure what direction this one's going to go.
I don't either.
I think it's going to be great because Weld has obviously lost his edge and has become a total diplomat and is afraid to take controversial positions anymore. So it's really important that we have someone.
I don't think there's any such thing as a boat review. I think all of these boats are great in their own way.
Look at you. Okay, welcome to episode 35 of Feel Sorry for Dimshits edition. But before we do that, fellas, we have our very first top of the show sponsor. So, wow. Yes,
we're ready to read that at the top of the show 7 minutes in.
Liz, you can poo-poo on the world here in just a little bit. Let me get through this.
Is this our new corporate master, by the way?
This is
people pull the purse strings?
let me get into our sponsor, and then you can go past this. We'd like to welcome Canoe and Kayak. Canoe and Kayak enters its 45th year as paddling's leading media brand by delivering award-winning stories plus info and imagery from across every impassioned corner of paddle sports. Part of 10, the Action Outdoor, division of enthusiastic network that includes its sister titles Kayak Fish and Sup the Mag, C&K now reaches more than 500,000 enthusiastic paddlers every month through canoeandkayak.com, as well as social media channels and content distribution partners. Big thank you to Canoe and Kayak for coming on board as our first sponsor. So, now.
That is
When's
exciting.
Squarespace coming on?
They'll be next.
Blue Apron.
Zip Recruiter.
Yeah, if Blue Apron or Walmart or anybody wants to come on, just reach out to us here at the Hammer Factor if you'd like to sponsor this event. In all seriousness, big thank you to Canoe and Kayak. There will be more coming from them in the future.
How long until we're paddle sports leading media brand?
That's an excellent question.
We didn't say that, but
They're not frightened yet by our presence.
Should we be Hammer Factor Media, or what's?
Well, we are the Hammer Factor Network. I think we've stated that before.
Well, if I learned anything from the Kayak Gang segment, it's that we should probably be like adjective Hammer Factor Media and then some sort of structure like house or
Crew.
I don't know, like Radness Hammer Factor Media tent or something.
Well, we heard from Dem Boys Media Cartel.
Yeah, see, those guys are abiding by the appropriative naming conventions.
Yeah, the Long Creek Gangsters cornered me after the green race, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but it was uncomfortable to say the least. So,
Were you scared?
I was scared. Those guys are straight gangsters.
They're not messing around.
No.
Do any of those guys have a neck blaster?
You guys want to hear about the Green River Narrows race? Did you guys?
Please.
Let me go right down here in the notes here, or so Weld calls it, the World Championship of Southeast Rednecks.
Okay, first of all, that's not my words. I put that in quotes because we were referencing somebody who should go nameless.
Yeah.
Because this person may be a guest on a later show, and I don't want to alienate this person.
Well, that was pretty funny, regardless. But before we get into the green race, I also want to give a huge shout out to the Great Falls Foundation, Jeff Calhoun. I've got an incredible green T-shirt on here, and Potomac Festival. Are you guys like locals to the Potomac? Do you have any of these T-shirts?
No.
No. Okay.
We have nothing. Yeah. And I'm assuming Canoe Kayak cut the check to you. Do they know this money's going to buy baby diapers and new running shoes for you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they know, but pretty much at this point, I'm going to get a new car with that cash.
Well, we got to get in on this action somehow, man. I feel like Grace has established his reputation as the least scrupulous of the Hammer Factor hosts, and people have become aware that you can just send Grace anything and get whatever you want. Listen,
right.
Charles and I also have no scruples, and we would like in on this action. So please, 3 shirts, Calhoun. You hear me?
Well, I think Calhoun knows that I have the edit button, and so as soon as you guys get a T-shirt and start talking about it, blip, on to the next segment. So, anyway, did you guys see any of the green race highlights? Did you see the Final Four? Lay it down. I'm sure you have an opinion on what went down out there.
My kids have been watching it nonstop for like the past week.
Yeah, it was that sick. And that's pretty cool your kids are watching it, because this year we had all the Hillicky kids in there. We had all of Buffy and Curtis's kids in there. We had the Polk Dieters kids in there. There were tons of juniors. We had a juniors class of 7 people in there this year. Racing. Yep, we had 7.
Who was the youngest person racing?
We had 2 15-year-olds who were racing. And we had Clay Wright, who was an original racer at 50 years old, going sub 5 minutes. So we got to give a shout out to Clay. But it was an incredible race this year. And I don't know.
Clay wasn't the oldest racer, was he?
Clay, this year he was. He's Jerry Jaskum is the oldest racer we've ever had at 52. So, but Jerry didn't break 5 minutes, and Clay came out there and laid it down sub 5 minutes. So that's showing something. But it was an extremely fast. Race and new course records. We had two people, Pat Keller and Eric DeGill, both break the course record. DeGill with a 4:05, Pat with a 4:06. So it was super fast. Dane came in third. And I don't know if you guys watched that head-to-head video, but did you guys see Dane's stroke rate?
I feel like I didn't really pick up on too much out of that. Besides the lines. Like I feel like you got to watch like one person at a time or two persons. You got to watch it a bunch of times to really pick up everything there is to learn from those head-to-head races like that.
Yeah. And then I got to give a big shout out to IR's very own, the Stoutmeister.
Right. The Stoutmeister came down, and I think he proved that living in Asheville and running the green every day is actually a disadvantage. Or it doesn't help.
Well, I'd say,
there's a lot of rocks out there, man.
All I know is he laid it down. That's all I got to say. So
not only that, Dagger, he paddles for Dagger, and now Dagger's calling him America's heartthrob, which I'm inclined to agree with.
Does he just have a string of ladies up there?
No. It's conflicts.
Colin was in there at fourth. I picked Colin to be on the podium, but fourth was certainly a good showing. It was a badass race all around. I think it's really cool. Personally, just looking around the crowd, seeing, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old aspiring paddlers sitting there hanging out on the banks with Dane Jackson and Pat Keller and, everybody dressed up in their gear and everybody kind of all equals. And, I say it every year that the green race gets better, but it just gets better every year. So
the Stoutmeister came back and gave you kudos on the race. He said it was really well organized. He says he was very, very impressed with the job that you do down there. So
yeah, thanks, Stoutmeister. No, it was good. It was we had a great pre-party on Thursday. We set up a really cool, basically we set a timing app off of, it's a real struggle. We bought this $4,000 timing system that worked with RF between the top and the bottom, and it does this thing where it pings out 15 signals, and if you get between 6 and 15, it's going to give you a reliable finish time every time. And we took it in there, and it would get like 2. It would register like 2 pings or 3 pings, and so we sent that back. But what we did, and this is a really good thing, is we set a camera at the finish line gate, and we sync that camera to the race clock at the finish line gate. And we didn't have any ties this year, but if we would have, we can take that down to the 100th of a second and look at the finish line gate. I don't know, it just went off really well, and we had a little bit of high water, and that kind of scared off our, we have maybe a dozen or so people who probably should not race, and it kind of scared them off. And yeah, it was badass.
That's sweet, dude. Nice work. I feel like it's sweet that you guys got the timing wired, man. I've been to so many races up here in the Northwest, and I don't want to call out any of them in particular, but just like races where somebody messes up the timing in a big way. And it's just like, it's so aggravating. It's like if there's one thing that you got to get right when you organize a race, it's the timing, I feel like.
Yeah.
Without timing, it's not really a race now, is it?
Yeah. It's like people just, it becomes, I don't know. Nice work. It's sweet.
Well, we definitely figured out the timing, and we've got if you ever want to put on an event or you want to do a race or something like that, and you're trying to figure out how to coordinate with fire and rescue teams and land managers and all that kind of stuff, reach out to me, because we have got some pretty cool partnerships that make this thing happen. So it was super rad. Big props to DeGill. Big props to Adrian. Adrian's now an 8-time green race champion, which is no small feat. And yeah, it was just so rad. Everything about it was so rad.
Well, let's read Mark Hunt's email, because he made a point I think kind of worth discussing.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing. So if you've been following the green race, there's kind of this 4-minute barrier that we've been creeping towards, 22 years now. And so the course record's 4:05, but nobody's broke 4 minutes. It's certainly a barrier. And before this year, 4:10 was the course record from Mike Dawson. And there's all kinds of talk about water levels and equipment and the things and the reason the race is getting faster and faster and faster. But Mark has a really good, some really good input here. Do you have that letter in front of you, Will?
Yeah, he writes, well, basically, Mark was a collegiate swimmer in 1975, and the best of us had been training and competing year-round since before high school, with two-a-days, periodization, weights, diet, and other strategies. I mention this because I want to get back to this. Indeed, equipment and technique in swimming have not evolved at all much since then, but speed has, mostly relates to a greatly expanded talent pool as a result of youth programs and more years of intensive training and better training technique. And then he links to the Wikipedia page that shows the progression of the men's 400 freestyle for the past 110 years. But basically, the times have dropped 2 minutes from like a 5:30 or 5:40 to a 3:30 in the men's 400 freestyle in the past 100 years, that's a big chunk of time. And he's saying that obviously that evolution is going to suggest that the times are getting nothing but faster. So my first observation was that you should be able to look at the times of the green race and how they've decreased over the past however many years and accurately predict within a year when that time is going to get broken just by looking at the trajectory, right? Mm-hmm. That's A. And B, with very few exceptions, I don't think anyone's training as hard to race that race as they are for swimming.
I'll agree with that. And I also
I think if someone were training that hard, they would come in and it would be ridiculous.
Yep. And I'll also back him up on the talent pool. I mean, when you're out there and there's, we have a group of juniors, like a full-on junior class now, where's that going to set us up in, 8-10 years from now?
Yeah, but these guys got to be training though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but sometimes you need.
It's like, I think DeGille's training. Like from what I hear, DeGille's training. And I think I look at Stoutmeister, who really, he just showed up. He's run the green a couple of times, but to his credit, I see him changing his diet. I see him changing, getting a bike trainer for his basement.
I'm not sure that anybody, maybe DeGille, but I'm not sure that anybody is really seriously training for creek racing and kayaking. But even if you were, they're all such variable links that, physiologically, the way you would train for a 1-minute race like sick line would be totally different than the way you would want to train for a 4-minute race like the green race, which would be totally different than the way you'd want to train for a 13-minute race like the little white.
But I don't think you need that level. That's an excellent point, but I don't think you need quite the level of training that fine tooth, level of training.
I totally agree. I guess
the level of competitiveness in the sport.
I just mean that, the comparison to swimming is the level of science that those guys are bringing to that operation is just incomparable, I think, to what's going on in kayak racing, excluding the Olympic disciplines.
Right.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And it comes back to the talent pool. How many swimmers do you think are in high school swimming right now across the country? Tens of thousands of them. You know what I mean?
How many? Well, let me ask you another question. How many people who race the green race are doing some form of structured training for more, for 300 plus days a year?
Very few.
Zero.
Very few. Dane. But I don't think Dane.
Is he training though? Is he really doing 2-a-days? Is he getting coaching? Is he?
I doubt that Dane has a training calendar. Dane has a training log and is today I'm going to get up and crush 4-minute segments on flat water before I go to the river. I'm not saying that he's not an incredible paddler. I don't see that he's.
So you take a company like NRS, right? Who seems to have an unlimited amount of money to promote kayaking, as far as I can tell. They could take the amount of money they're spending on a video or a movie that they're making or one of these things and maybe cherry pick 4 or 5, really promising athletes and pay for them to train for 3 or 4 years, and just clean up every single race.
I bet you if somebody were like, we have 10 grand for the first person to break 4 minutes at the green race, somebody's going to break 4 minutes next year.
I'm talking about a group of athletes who go and win every single race. They're just on the next level because it would be such an easy thing to pick. You know what I mean?
So you're saying if they could live somewhere, have a coach, train 5 days a week,
just train,
get fed, do their thing.
Right.
Yeah, that would be that, someday that may happen, but that would be the sickest thing ever.
I think it's sick that it's not like that, honestly. It's like that's when creek racing is going to die as like an activity that everybody's into and loves.
And the USC KT takes over creek racing.
So you think, back to Mark's point, you think we're going to see 340s? He's talking about, the green race is probably at the same point in evolution as swimming was in the 1960s and 70s. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think we're a little more along than that? Or
I think if Pat Keller were to do nothing but train for that event for an entire year with a racer, with like a really competitive training program, I bet he'd take 45 seconds off his time.
45 seconds?
Yeah. 30 seconds.
I don't know. I mean, the thing about those plastic boats is like you just can't. They like hit a point of diminishing returns, and I guess it's the same thing for swimming. But it's like you just can't push those boats any faster. Like you think you can take 45 seconds off?
Well, okay, all right. So this is a 4-minute race, right? I mean, how long is a contemporary slalom race right now?
90 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So as a percentage, how much faster do you think a world-class athlete is than Pat Keller on a slalom course?
It's different. It's like it's just such specialized training. I mean, I think if you took Pat and put him at the starting line at a World Cup slalom race, I think he would be 20 plus seconds behind. But it's just because it's that specialized. Like I think physiologically, if you asked Pat just to sprint for 90 seconds,
how about like a downriver race?
I think they'd be close.
Like a 4-minute downriver race.
I think it'd be comparable. I mean, you look at what's going on at sick line, you have guys who are making World Cup finals. Like you have a deep field of top level slalom racers there, and guys like Andy Ole are still able to win.
No, I agree with that. I know looking at the top 4 video, if Dane could have kept it clean and was on the stroke rate that he was at, he was going to make up 5 seconds on the Galen.
What if? If Dane was faster, he would have been faster.
But that's what we're talking about. We're baseless speculation, which is kind of the name of the game here on the Hammer Factor. But I don't know. I mean, and what do you guys think about of the top 4 boats? 3 of them being in the thermoform. Does it surprise you at all? You think that has anything to do with the horse, or you think that's the boats?
That's a serious data point. I'm not sure if you can make a conclusion from it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I
was talking with Whittemore about this. Whittemore works for us, Jess Whittemore, and he has a lot of sort of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Innate knowledge of boat design and boat speed and stuff. He seems to think the biggest factor in a fast boat is a new hull, not necessarily a thermoformed hull, but if it's not all toweled up and soft and dented in, he thinks that would make a much bigger difference than thermoform.
I'll agree with that. And I'll tell you, the thermoform boats stay until they break on the seam. They stay the same shape. But after 2 or 3 runs in a stinger, that flat spot at the bottom starts to round out a little bit. The rocker starts to change. Like you say, the roughness. I don't know. I would love to see Liquid Logic or any manufacturer figure out a way to make that work, because it is way better. It's way better. I mean, I'm going to say it's 5 to 6 seconds better over the course of the race.
Man, I've had a lot of time on my hands just thinking about kayaking. I had shoulder surgery 3 weeks ago, and I'm man, there's part of me that would just love to like make a mold, build a composite longboat.
Oh! Dude, I would love that. I would love that. Hammer Factor has sponsored that. I got a Great Falls t-shirt for it.
We're bringing in the sweet kayak media dollars now, man.
Anyway, Green Race was badass.
Yeah.
I think that, I think it's just, for me personally, just now having kids and whatever, just seeing just how much enthusiasm and spark and interest, and yeah, it's not going to be snowboarding, Weld, or whatever, but the future is bright for whitewater. That's what I get.
I'll tell you what, I think you're right about that, because we've had more interest in kids gear in the past year than we have in the previous 19 combined.
Yeah. So
I think, I think if there was a golden age of whitewater kayaking, all those people have kids now.
No, I think you're right. I'm looking. Look at me.
There was like a 10-year hiatus while they're getting their act together, and they had babies, but now they have kids who are paddling.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. So moving on to the show notes here. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say about the Green River Nails race?
We don't have to talk about this for another year, right?
Well, until next episode, because I got more things I want to say about it, and it's going to be part of my rants and raves for at least 3 episodes. So, anyway, moving on. What happened to our women's show, John? We promised our viewers. We had several people write into us commenting, looking forward to this show. What happened?
Well, you and I had our own women's show episodes. Grace and I, the Hammer Factor is really an extension of gossipy phone calls that John Grace, Louis Galtman and I have had over the years. and Grace and I had one such phone call about the women's episode. I don't know what happened. Kara was very. What's that?
It's Grace is turning red with nervousness here.
That's all. We're just gonna leave it at that. But I don't know what happened. Kara was trying to wrangle these women down to a date, and everyone was kind of flaking out. But I don't think she's lost hope yet. So,
well, we'd love to hear it.
Fingers crossed.
And I think we can just, even if we can't round up just an all women's episode, and a couple people actually wrote this in.
Could be just us pretending like we're familiar with women's paddling issues.
I think
asserting our.
I think our audience wants to hear women talk about paddling, not hear women talk about women in paddling. Does that make sense?
That's
true.
I think that's right.
I think
we need to get more women guests on the show.
Yeah, I think they don't necessarily have to talk about just girls doing things. They just want.
No, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you on that. On the Kara or anyone else who's planning on coming on the show either. They just want to talk about boating.
Yeah, exactly. So we can make that happen, even if we can't just get the whole panel of ladies together. So it will happen, Hammer Factor. So Louis, what'd they do to your shoulder, and what's going on there? Is that why? What happened there?
Dude, it's good, man. I had surgery like 3 weeks ago. They cleaned off a bunch of bone spurs, just ground off a bunch of growth, basically cleaned up some loose anchors and bone chips and all sorts of shit that was grinding around in my shoulder. Kind of opened up my labrum a little bit to get some more range of motion, and then did this bicep tenodesis where your bicep tendon goes through the head of your humerus, and they just cut that and then reattached it lower on my arm, which kind of takes out a little inflammation point. But it feels good, man. I've better range of motion already for the most part, and it just feels way smoother. It's not hanging up in all these weird places like it was before. It's 3 months for that bicep tendon to heal, so it's going to be a little tedious, but I'm feeling pretty positive about it. I'm stoked. So I started reading War and Peace. I've been going running.
Nice. Well, podcast while running is a good way to kill some time. So you've obviously got some time on your hands. Have you had any contact with Zinke? Where are we at on the desk?
Zinke send flowers.
Me and Zinke are on the
or
outs.
anything.
That guy, I had high hopes for him being mediocre, and those hopes have been dashed. Everything's fucked.
I mean, in the show notes here, Mr. Weld put, now they have trained the Death Star on the environment. That seems really true.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the first 9 months of this Congress and the Trump presidency, they've been focused on destroying healthcare and passing tax cuts for the rich, which I guess they're still working on. But they've also somewhat moved on to destroying the environment. And we've had like a pretty bad run in the last 3 weeks. I mean, nothing's set in stone yet. There's still some opportunities to weigh in on some of these things. But if you guys want to, I mean, I can just rip through this list pretty quickly.
Let's just rapid fire all the ways which we're going to be denied any kind of access to the outdoors or outdoor recreation.
Okay.
What is the Resilient Federal Forest Act?
Resilient Federal Forest Act is this just god-awful forestry bill from this guy, Bruce Westerman from Arkansas. And basically there is this broad bipartisan agreement in Congress that we need to reform the way that forest fire suppression is funded. It is just like destroying the Forest Service budget, and forest fires need to be funded in the same way that we fund other natural disasters like hurricanes and floods and things like that. There's like a really small percentage of fires that consume like the overwhelming majority of the firefighting budget, and these natural disasters need to be funded like other natural disasters. And basically everyone in Congress agrees with that, but there's a handful of Republicans who want to use that necessity, the need to make that change in the way these things are paid for, as leverage to extract a bunch of forestry reforms and basically make it so that you can, clear cut forests without any environmental analysis. So that's like a huge part of this bill is new categorical exclusions, they're called, from analysis under the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. So that's a huge part of this. But then, there's some reason to think that there's too much NEPA analysis that goes on at the Forest Service. They spend a lot of money and it takes a lot of time to do these analyses. And, what they propose in this bill is extreme, but like there's, reasonable minds can differ on that. But there's this piece of this that to me is just absolutely insane. And that is that it takes environmental analysis, NEPA, out of forest planning. So like we've talked about forest planning on here before, like every, 15 or 20 years, every national forest gets like a new management plan. And like when you're creating a 20-year management plan for a national forest, like that is a time to do serious environmental analysis, right? Like you're setting the direction of a forest for 20 years. And this bill would take NEPA out of forest planning entirely, which is to me just insane. Like you're going to create a 20-year management plan for a national forest with no environmental analysis. I mean, it's crazy, right? That thing just passed the House maybe 2 weeks ago. There's not an analogous bill in the Senate, but there's a bunch of kind of proposals for some forestry reforms kicking around over there. So I'll probably go back to DC sometime in the next couple of weeks and go do have some conversations about that and try and make sure that things don't totally go off the rails on that side, because I think generally speaking, people are a little more reasonable there. So that's one thing. Are you guys getting this like weird background noise?
No, sounds clean on my end.
No, but your internet is not so hot. Like you
Really?
keep visually cutting in and out. Yeah.
Huh.
What is the National Monument Creation and Protection Act? That sounds like it sounds pleasant.
What's not to like?
It may stun you guys to hear this, but it in fact does the opposite of that. This bill, which passed out of House Natural Resources maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, also would basically block the president from creating any new national monuments under the Antiquities Act that's been used to create, like Black Canyon to the Gunnison, that was originally a national monument. I mean, everything from like the Grand Canyon to Bears Ears. And not only would it block the creation of most new national monuments, it would also give the president authority to revoke national monuments. These guys kind of want to act as if Trump and Zinke have the authority to roll back Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante, and they're definitely going to try. But the legal authority to do that is extremely dubious. And once they announce whatever they're planning on announcing here at the beginning of December, they're going to get sued immediately. And we'll find out what that authority is or isn't. But
I would suggest calling it, how about the National American Patriot Eagle Act?
that would be fine. You got to find like a clever acronym though.
So where's this
right,
bill at? Has this passed the House? Where is this bill at?
That passed out of committee in the House, and it sounds like that's going to get some action on the floor or wherever early next year is kind of the rumors on that. So that's exciting. Should we keep going through the list? Is everybody suitably depressed yet?
No, let's bring it on. Let's. I'm just getting started.
But look, man, like all this stuff, none of this stuff. I mean, it's depressing that it's gone as far as it has and that these things are happening. But don't like throw up your hands. Like we still have opportunities to kill all this stuff. We have, like all this stuff still has to get through the Senate. The Republicans have 52 votes in the Senate, so we just got to peel off like 3 people and we can stop this stuff. So like, let's not. I mean, I know my role here is to be a Debbie Downer about it, but we're not giving up. The whole House just passed this hydroelectric reform bill last week.
This one sounds nice.
Yeah, so you guys know how in the U.S., every dam is authorized it's either directly authorized by Congress, which is like what the really big dams, like on the Columbia or the Colorado, those are congressional dams. And then everything kind of smaller than that is a FERC dam. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission licenses hydroelectric projects. And so this bill would basically consolidate a lot of power in FERC that right now, FERC has to consult with other resource management agencies like the Forest Service or BLM or whoever it might be. And those agencies have authority to kind of add environmental conditions to the dam licensing. And so that's super important for, like environmental stuff and then also for recreational releases. And those agencies they're like the resource experts, like FERC, like those guys don't have any local staff. Like the Forest Service has local staff everywhere. So they're not getting kind of the local values in terms of, free flowing rivers. They don't have the expertise in these environmental issues. And this would basically just take away a ton of authority from the resource management agencies and consolidate it in FERC. So it would just make it much harder for like AW to do its job in terms of getting recreational releases, in terms of, protecting environmental values. And the goal of this is just to like streamline new hydro projects.
Awesome.
So that's exciting. Again, this is all stuff that's coming out of the House. There's still opportunities to kill this in the Senate. Keep an eye out with us, with AW. We're working. Nobody's throwing up our hands.
So are you a fan of the new charter parks instead of the national parks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the whole idea with public lands is really that, if you have money, you should go. And if you don't have money, you should get a fucking job.
That's right.
I mean, that's
right.
This is America.
So when the National Park Service comes out with this, we're making a joke, but the National Park Service said that basically we're going to raise the fee in some 12 national parks or whatnot to $70 to enter the park. What's up with that? Like, is that coming from the National Park Service? Is that coming from the top, directed down? What on earth are they thinking?
I mean, my understanding is that that's coming kind of from the top, like from Zinke, from DOI.
Your boy Zinke.
I mean, the purported justification for this is that there's this alleged $12 billion maintenance backlog in the national parks, which, like when we talk about this stuff, we don't even talk about the maintenance backlog anymore because it's not, it makes it sound like they're just not doing the maintenance. It's like what's really going on is that Congress hasn't funded the national parks. They don't fund the land management agencies the way they're supposed to. So, the real problem is not a maintenance backlog. It's years of inadequate funding from Congress for the land management agencies. But, what they're proposing to raise these fees to $70, they're going to raise, they estimate $70 million a year against a deferred maintenance backlog of $12 billion. At the same time, they're proposing to cut $1.5 billion a year from the Interior Department's budget. $70 million they're going to raise against $1.5 billion in budget cuts. We're talking about a $1.5 trillion tax cut for rich people right now, and they act like this deferred maintenance backlog is like this like intractable problem. The problem is Congress. But I mean, to me, the agenda.
I think clearly the problem is that we need to privatize parks.
I think that's. I mean, I don't want to say that that's the agenda, but the agenda is like, it's moving people away from the idea that we all own these places in common. We pay for them for our tax dollars. We're all entitled to, visit our public lands. Like we all share ownership of these places. To, if you have money, you can go. Public lands are meant to generate revenue.
Right.
If we're not drilling for oil and gas, then we need to like charge everybody $70 a head to get in. It's just it's a philosophical difference, I guess. But
imagine the Time Warner AT&T Yellowstone Park.
I mean, that was the thing.
But you have tiers. Listen, you'd have tiers though. I mean, you'd have a price point available for everybody to enter and enjoy the park.
I mean, the thing is that
this is the saddest conversation I've ever had in my life. I can't believe this is even real.
Are you guys ready to cry yet? I mean, the thing is like, they're not proposing to increase the annual passes. So like, honestly, like all of us, we're probably still going to pony up our $100 a year, get the annual pass, go wherever we want. But it's going to affect people who are, just sort of casual users of public lands, and it just undercut. It's like people should be able to take their family out and go to a national park, and it shouldn't cost $70. Like that's ridiculous. It's like not everybody is like us, where like this is our life, and like yeah, sure, like I'll pony up $100 to go to the national parks every year, like fine. But like, these are people who are just not going to get the chance to, go check out Yellowstone or Yosemite or like whatever your local national park is. And like those are the people, like those experiences are what help people develop a conservation ethic, to care about public lands, to recognize that we all have a stake in these places. And it's depressing, man. It's like, just not equitable. It's like you shouldn't have to have a certain income level to enjoy public lands. It's un-American. You hear me?
Well, I've been riding a high since Green Race. Thanks for bringing me back down, Lewis.
Well, speaking of un-American,
we're gonna fix this shit. You hear me? So don't start crying in your LaCroix over there, Grace.
I don't have anything else to say. OutdoorAlliance.org. Get on the mailing list, Lewis and Zinke.
So I'm sorry to break the conversation down.
Doing their dance.
We got to figure out a more uplifting way to do this.
I know what we can do. Let's bring Dave Facili into the conversation.
Yes. Dumb shit to make everybody happy.
Well, you two are about to get read the riot act.
Oh, God, here we go.
Well, I think Rush is really the straw man who we should be tearing down.
Let's stop pointing fingers and diverting blame.
Sell out.
Now's not the time for that.
We got corporate sponsors. Weld's apologizing.
What has happened to the Hammer Factor?
Everything's fucking.
I apologize every episode. Come on. That hasn't. We were talking the other day. If you listen to we should warn people at the beginning of the Hammer Factor that if you listen to this show, we are going to shit on something that you love sooner or later.
I think that's right. Prepare to be offended.
Right.
Just gonna light up this spliff and tap out.
Unless you paddle class 5 in a 9-foot boat with a 60-degree offset, 45 to 60-degree offset.
I heard that Nicole was playing the Hammer Factor with all the World Class Academy kids, and they were so angry about our playboating comments that she had to turn it off because they were just becoming unruly.
That's so funny. Well, those kids better recognize. All right, Dave, are you there?
Come back. Work.
Whoa.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, you probably got to turn the sound off on your computer.
Wait
a minute. Let's try something.
Wait, something's going on here.
Yeah.
Do I have you now?
Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna hang up on this one.
You got me?
Ah,
yeah.
Looky there.
Yeah.
It was like I hit the sound button. Well, Dave, welcome to the Hammer Factor.
Hey, how you guys doing? Well, that was a pain in the ass, but
Yeah, we got it. Dude, how come Weld's got the sweet microphone, dude?
Grace has one too. You just can't see it.
Yeah.
I want a microphone. All I have is a pile of money.
What's up with that pile of money?
I've been working hard these days, Grace. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what? Before we get into the various injustices that we're what's the word I'm looking for? Injustices that were
thrown at the whitewater kayak community.
Thrown at dem shits.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You have a new job with Piranha.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm a sales rep now.
Congratulations! Is that a promotion?
Yeah. I think so. I don't know actually. I'm trying to figure that out. Right now it seems pretty good, but it's winter time, so we'll see. Might get real busy, but that and warehouse management for a small warehouse in White Salmon here. So yeah, stoked to have a job here in White Salmon.
What's your territory there?
Ripper? Oh yeah,
Oregon, Washington, and Cali.
Cool. That's not
like 4 shops. Yeah. I'm gonna grease this one.
When's the Ripper going to be available in the U.S.?
I think there's some coming in like a week or so. I think I'll see one in like a week, but I don't think it'll be totally available for like another month or so.
When's the Hammer Factor going to get their demo units?
Like a month or so.
5 weeks, you're saying?
But dude, that boat's going to be sick. Yeah, so 4 or 5 weeks.
So to be clear, you only need to send them to me and Weld because Grace has already been, his palms have already been greased by our various other
Jesus. Here
supporters.
We go. So is Patterson your boss, Vasily?
Yeah. It's pretty awesome, dude. Yeah. He and I don't know, the listening world might not know this, but Patterson, who's now my boss at Piranha, I pulled him into the team van as a team paddler, like 5 years ago or so, and we traveled around together for years, and I don't know, we had a blast together. He's an awesome dude. Yeah, I pretty much couldn't say no to him. I mean,
so he passed you. He passed you in the corporate chain. He went right past you.
Yeah. I've been offered a lot of jobs there, but I just keep saying no.
Well, congratulations.
Go ahead.
So I was unaware of any of this, and maybe I missed it, but Weld said there were some misgivings about dim shits on the last show. Can you set us straight here, Dave?
Well, yeah, I have a huge list of notes here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the first thing that we need to straighten up here is Beater. Now, Rush, I'm not throwing Rush under the bus here because he didn't actually claim it. Everyone was just like, I don't know where the hell it actually came from. He was like, sure, I'll claim it. I don't really know where it came from.
He didn't deny it, that's for sure.
He sort of claimed it I think he claimed it. I walked away saying it was his.
Whatever. I mean, anyway, Weld, actually, I was listening, and Weld, it was actually the closest because he said it came from skiing, which is correct. Beatering, yes, Weld wins. It comes from, this was like 2010 and 11. I was working and living at Alta for the winters. And you can ask Nicole Mansfield, you can bring her on because she was involved as well. But our buddy Tyler, he would scream. We'd be riding up the lifts, and we lived there. So we were fucking with people every day, laughing at people, just ski bums. And he would just yell Beater at people when they fell from the lift. Like, yo, Peter, look at that fucking Peter, dude. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So I started saying it in kayaking that following season, and then it continued to grow. But
and then Rush heard it and was convinced that he made it up.
Yeah, he stole it.
All right. Well, that's 1 point for the dim shits.
That's true.
Subtract 1 for Mr. Sturgis.
What else do I have here?
Green Race legend, Mr. Sturgis.
Oh, dude, we got some new words. We also have BDP was claimed to do the first hand signals. Is that true, or did I hear that wrong?
Nah, I don't think BDP was first. I think there was gang signs going around long before BDP was even.
I think so.
In the game.
One of my favorites is this. Remember this?
Team C.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yes, Team C.
Team C.
All right,
you listeners.
That could be one of the You'd be hard pressed to find a crew earlier than Team C.
Who's
I
Team
agree.
C?
Bunch of Yinzers from Pittsburgh, dude, and they were just straight beat it up down the rivers, and they'd be like, they'd be getting like their asses kicked in a hole, like fully out of breath, like hardly roll up, but always throw the C out there. They'd be like, they're hilarious. If you guys,
I don't know. You have to look at it's like search Buzzlemania Productions.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd even find it
on YouTube. Rick Usick has a whole catalog of Team C videos. Yeah.
That's the first
ass beatings.
Those are the first gang members that I remember in kayaking.
Okay, Team C. And is that like in reference to the A team, the B team, and they're the C team?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should have been like the F or the G, or like real beater for sure. But I think that's the first gang symbol I've seen in kayaking. But I mean, there could be earlier ones, but that's one of my favorites, and those guys are hilarious. I love those videos. They're the best. They're the best. I also have some new words.
Ooh.
John. I think you guys might have mentioned John. That John. Jawn.
No. What's that?
It's anything.
Actually, I know because we're actually naming a garment after this word. But
right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Dem Johns.
How would I use the
ahead.
John? Yeah. What's some context here?
Like, what's this John here? See that John in the back of my screen there? That John's a paddle. This Weld's got a John in front of his face. What are these ear Johns for?
Okay, I got it.
I mean, anything could be a John. It's like, you know how like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I'm always like, what is that? Fuck, John. What's that, John? You know, it's just like a good killer, dude.
It's kind of spelled It's kind of spelled JAWN.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
Right.
Oh, man, I feel like all these words are just like, it always just like rubs my DC pride a little bit wrong. like when people in White Salmon are saying yins to one another, I'm like, like
dude, another
John,
another dem shits word.
John is a Philly word.
Yep. But yins is another. That's a Pittsburgh word.
Yeah.
My parents say yins, but now people in like Germany say yins. Where are yins going? You know, it's like, you know.
But you think Demshit's brought that to the table? You must have made that a thing.
Yins, absolutely.
I mean, in paddling, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's
either that or Team C.
So, did you feel like we were unfair to Dimshits in our last show?
These guys started texting me at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
With like a litany of complaints about the show.
Yeah.
And Kara was like, "Who is that? Tell him to cut it out." It's like ding, ding.
I like that when Kara realized it was dem shit, she was just like, "Oh, okay, dem shit," and just rolled over. She's like, "Oh, I get it. This is normal. This is normal." Well, yeah. Well, Jared and Graham got me going. They're like, "Dude, Hammer Factor is totally out of line here, man. They've got all these outlandish claims," and I was like, "All right, let's straighten it up, dude. Let's straighten it up." I wouldn't say unfair because like life isn't fair according to Big Dave, my dad. You know, it's just like whatever. It just is what it is. It's all good.
Did Bombflow steal the Brown Claw?
Did who?
Bombflow.
Who's Bombflow?
They were like a magazine.
Yeah, one of the Silers made that claim in the string of texts here.
Yeah, that they stole. I don't know. I mean, no, I don't think they stole it because it's not really anyone's. We just started it.
I actually have the quote here from the text if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm not sure which Siler this is. You may be able to identify the Siler. This could be like a good game to play. Identify the Siler from the quote. This is verbatim. Bombflow stole the Brown Claw. River Root stole out to lunch, and all Dem has left is AIDS. T-Dub.
That's a Jared. I think that's a Jared quote.
Right.
But yeah, I think that, I think Jared might have been rubbed a little, the wrong way. He's just like, dude, we've got nothing left here. All our shit is just taken away from us.
Well, obviously it's not just the dimshits because we've got some people kind of throwing us under the bus here. We didn't mention the, and this is all in the show notes, best show notes in the business, the Dim Boys Media Cartel.
Well, to be clear, we had a contest, and we had a week for people to submit their videos, and kayakers being kayakers, about 2 weeks later, they started rolling in.
Yeah.
After we crowned a champion.
Right. These are the ones that didn't make the evaluation round from Rush that maybe need another look.
I personally like the Loch Ness Monstars.
I love that.
Well, we had Dem Boys Media Cartel, the Loch Ness Monstars, the Boone Crew, and then probably the best named group of them all, the Mid-Level Boating Crew.
I think those guys might have been claiming a little high, honestly.
Mid-Level was a stretch, to be honest. Yeah.
I made a note actually somewhere here. I actually put, it says mid-level. I actually changed it in parentheses. I put it should be low level. but I made some notes on these guys. I mean, I liked that there was a lot of swimming. I saw this dude actually swimming over a drop doing a double brown claw, like as he like disappeared out of sight while his buddy was swimming beside him. So I mean, that made me laugh my ass off. They did some narration, which was good, and they actually, I don't know if you watched their, they're pretty, again, it should be low level, but they did actually set good safety. Did you see that? Like they were running guerrilla, and they obviously knew they were going to eat shit. And
what would you do for safety guerrilla?
They had live bait at the bottom, dude.
Nobody does that unless it's race day.
Yeah, or you're the low level fucking, what are these guys?
The low level
crew. Yeah. So I gotta give them bad props to that, because like I feel like so many people fire shit up when they're not ready, which people are gonna do that. However, I'm not saying
they fire shit up when they're not ready, but they're at least ready to pick up the pieces.
Exactly. So I think I was stoked on that.
Well, Dave, given your expertise on the subject, with these kind of late entries, the Dim Boys and the Loch Ness Monstars, the Boone Crew and the Mid-Level Boating Crew, is BDP still the top of the top shelf here? Or are we looking at a new leader in the?
I mean, any of these group have some legs here to?
I mean, I think that I really think I liked the low-level crew the best because of all the factors mentioned, or the Yacht guys. I don't know. That was badass. It was reminded me of being at home there. And the Boone Crew, I mean, the video was amazing. Like the videography was super good. The one thing I didn't like about the Boone Crew though is that they didn't have any gang signs. There was like very little like funny stuff. And
if you have crew in your name, you should have a gang sign. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, dude. Or at least a color, like they all wear red or blue or some shit, like at every shot. And they were missing that, and like I feel like that's a little personality, which the low level crew had huge personality. So, the Dem dudes or whatever the fuck they were called, I didn't.
And Dem, I mean, you have to.
I mean, does that hurt you a little bit?
That's an extension of Dem shits, right? I feel like that's a sister group.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that they're trying, and everything, but it was just, I didn't gravitate to Dem, whatever the hell they're called, very much.
Has that been trademarked at all? Dem?
No, not to my knowledge.
Because you guys may have some intellectual property on that. You could call it in.
What else? Dem.
You could write Dem Boys Media Cartel cease and desist. Could draft it up for you.
We might have to start whipping on some people here pretty soon.
So we have a new champion of the gang contest, right? The low level boating crew. We've renamed them.
Yeah, we renamed them.
Low to mid level boating crew.
There was just a lot of good shit there. I liked them. I did. I think so.
Yeah, a lot of sincerity.
Okay, it's settled.
So, I would actually like a shirt from them as well.
Seriously?
They do that.
That could really push them over the top.
Right?
Yeah.
Send a shirt to John Grace.
It can go a long way around the Hammer Factor.
I think
all the crews you can see in the show notes if you go to our website. So if you guys want to see these people.
I actually watched every video from the low level crew as well. I got really into it.
Oh, really?
Huh. We'll go to the show notes.
Let me ask you,
go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you about Demshits real quick.
Uh-huh.
How's Demshits doing? Still alive and well, or are we reaching sort of the twilight years of Demshits? I know I asked Evan this the other day, and he seemed to think there was a lot of life left in it. But I'm going to ask the source.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say so. Can
we stop brown clawing, or are we just throwing ironic brown claws now, or is there still anything left in the brown claw?
I mean, I brown claw all the time. I'd say
is it for sincere brown claw, or is it like a jokey brown claw?
Usually
what's the difference?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm brown claw.
Like weak or like strong brown.
All right. Okay.
Well, no, I think so. I think
Demshits who's in it? Like, how do you?
Well,
how can you start using the term as to include yourself?
Sign a licensing agreement.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, who is in Demshits? I mean, it started with Jared Graham and I. I think most people know that. Maybe not. I had a sticker. I went on a trip. I'll try to make this quick, but I went on a road trip with a few friends from DC, and we were in Missoula, Montana, and we were partying. And we were cooking out, and there was this guy was in a tiny white car, this huge black guy in a tiny white car, just zipping by us, like back and forth and back and forth. And this became really funny to us. And my buddy Dave George just yells, "Demshits loves us." And on that trip, we just kept saying that over and over again. And then we made stickers from the trip, and then I stuck it on the Piranha van. Jared and Graham were like, "What the hell is that?" I told them, and then as we traveled around the country in the van all those years, that's how it actually like really spread, because we're face to face with God knows how many kayakers over those years. But yeah, I'd say Demshits is still alive and well, and we're trying to fire up some new products real soon, some shirts and hats and stuff.
I remember years ago looking at UK Playboater magazine, the British publication, and seeing Richard Brownclaw Kimball.
Yeah.
I was like, it's international. I mean, this little thing has spread across the globe.
I hate to brag, but I mean, the brown claw was in the Olympics. I mean, Demshits has had custom helmets, paddles. We have a Demshits beer. We've had shorts. I mean, I feel like it should be, a crew at least mentioned in these crews of kayakers.
So are you going to put Demshits above the low levels?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
That's not what I was trying to do. Absolutely not.
Well, I'm a huge Demshits fan, that's for sure. And let me ask Demshits himself here, what's up with the 12R? Are we going to see this thing? Is it a real thing? How many pre-orders do you got? What's going on here?
I don't know numbers on orders. I just got word like 2 days ago that it was approved for production. So the 12R will be coming to life.
Sick.
Yeah, I don't longboat a whole lot.
That's because the only option is like a 19-foot hammer.
Yeah. I'm a sea kayaker or whitewater, strictly.
And more sea kayaker now that you're a sales rep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a sea kayaker now. But
man,
I
bet that boat's going to be sick.
Yeah, I hope that it's different from all the other longboats. Mainly, I hope there's a lot more rocker than what we see in current 12-foot boats, and a little more edge. But we'll see. I haven't paddled it, so I can't talk shit. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I've been pushing those guys to make. And it was interesting. You guys talked about this in the last podcast with Isaac or something. I've been pushing for them to make a 10 and a half foot version of the 9R. I want to see like Macno rocker with 9R edge, and so it's like a really fast maneuverable boat that's still a creek boat. You can keep your face dry. I hate getting wet. I hate to be wet.
Yeah, you're in the right sport.
Well, speaking of boats, should we get into our anonymous boat review guy?
Yeah, guy.
This should be really interesting.
All right, looks like we have our ABRG on the line here, our anonymous boat review guy. And
should we explain the genesis of this?
Yeah, go for it, Weld.
I mean, we wanted to review boats, and everyone loves boat reviews, and we had more viewer mails asking us for boat reviews than any other single thing. But the problem is we're all too chicken shit to say something bad about a boat made by somebody we like or know.
And then when you do, you hear about it for like 3 months straight. So
we solved the problem. We were going to have a completely anonymous person come on and review boats. We'll never reveal the name or their identity. The voice has been disguised. And this person has the liberty to say whatever they want about boats. But it has nothing. We have no editorial control over this whatsoever.
Exactly.
We did not support or in any way condone the opinions expressed by an honest boat review guy.
Yeah, but ABRG has many years of experience.
Yes.
Has paddled all kinds of things, been a part of the industry in certain ways. So it's not your Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. So without further ado, anonymous boat review guy, are you there?
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Don.
You're welcome. Is there anything that you would like to, any holes you'd like to fill in there on your introduction, or anything you'd like to tell our listeners?
Sure. Well, I've been working in the kayak industry for a long time now, and I get to see a side of the industry that most paddlers don't. Companies are always trying to sell new stuff, and they'll do anything to make the latest gear look cool. I'd like to help the average paddler see through the hype and demand the gear they deserve.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear more.
Okay, so let's just get right into the meat of it. Do you have any boats? Do you have any boats that you'd like to cover for our listeners?
Well, I recently went to check out the Green Race and had a chance to paddle all the longboats down the Narrows. Aside from the overly self-important East Coast race scene and some self-support Grand Canyon trips, longboats aren't very popular in most places on Earth that people paddle. I mean, I can get behind filling a large boat with beers and a luxury camping setup. A chair on a multi-day mission is an outright pleasure, but the East Coast race scene seems like a homoerotic mating ritual to me. Listening?
Okay. Continue.
When I listened to your Green Race Roundtable episode, I felt like the typical Green Racer would be at home shotgunning beers on the Jersey Shore while skipping leg day.
Okay.
Longboats are like a yellow Camaro. It may impress your bros, but outside of white trash hangouts, nobody cares. Like Colin Hunt's handlebar mustache, longboats are way out of style, despite Asheville hipsters trying to bring them back around. I mean, every modern longboat in existence is made within 3 hours of the Green River.
Okay. Okay, I'm not sure what to say about that, but do you have any thoughts on the new 12R coming out of Britain?
Well, I was going to review the Dagger Green boat, the Liquid Logic Singer, and the Jackson Karma Unlimited, but I guess if Piranha can take orders for a boat that doesn't exist, I can review it.
Perfect. What do you got?
Well, let's just get the Jackson out of the way. The Karma Unlimited is the easiest longboat to paddle, but it's not going to win you any races. It's probably the reason Clay Wright sticks to short boats. The Karma Unlimited sacrifices too much speed in order to make it handle. They kind of miss the point that longboats are built to win races, and not be a stable barge for Dane Jackson to splash around and take bubble baths in.
I love Boat Guy.
If you want to win on race day, you'll want to paddle the green boat or the stinger. And since we're going to rank the Piranha 12R in here, let's just say it's probably better than the Karma Unlimited. Let's face it,
Hell yeah, that's good.
if you care what your friends think of you, even a boat made to paddle the drainage ditches of England is going to be cooler than a Jackson boat. Perhaps Weld would disagree.
Listen, I'm sick of apologizing. I apologize to everyone in England already, unconditionally. All right, what do you have? I mean, what's up with the green boat versus the stinger? Long story short.
Well, between the green boat and the stinger, it really comes down to your racing style. In the weeks leading up to Green Race, I repeatedly saw two moronic Facebook platitudes when scrolling past endless GoPro practice runs. The first, go fast, take chances. This is the mantra of the Liquid Logic Stinger paddler. The Stinger is the fastest boat of the set. If you can grease your lines, you're going to beat the competition. Mistakes in the Stinger will punish you. Once you go offline in the Stinger, it takes some work to get back online.
Okay.
For those that believe in the mantra that slow is smooth, smooth is fast, the Dagger Green Boat is your longboat of choice. The Green Boat is marginally slower than the Stinger, but it's easier to control. If you want to give yourself a little room for error and still clock a decent time, go with the Green Boat.
Okay.
All right, so what's your pick? What's out of the longboats? What's the best one?
I think I'm going to go with the yet-to-be designed 12R. If you can paddle the Green River 200 days a year, and still your best chance is to wait for a French dad to surrender, clearly there's room for improvement.
All right. That was our first anonymous boat review.
I liked it.
Sally?
I mean, yeah, that he sounded a little sick, but I actually couldn't stop laughing for the first 3 minutes of him speaking there. But
I mean,
yeah, I think it's a pretty good point. If we're gonna sell a boat that we don't even have yet, it's probably pretty goddamn good.
Lewis, do you have anything to add to those boat reviews?
I think that was pretty definitive.
Well, he liked the green boat the best. Oh, no, he said the 12R. But I feel like he was going green boat, and then he kind of went 12R at the end there.
All right, so let's do the top three in order. ABRG.
I think I'm going to go off that 12R because they've got to be able to make some improvements here. And then I go for maybe the Stinger because I'm the one that greased the lines. And then the green boat because it's still pretty fast, and we'll just leave the Jackson out of it.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, are there any other models or anything that you've had a chance to get out on the water that you'd like to chime in, or do we want to save that for future episodes?
Well, I'd like to start looking into the rip-off class boats and look at some of these designs that are follow-ons to some of the innovative boats that we've seen in the past couple of years. But we'll save that one for the next episode.
Did you say the rip-off designs?
Yeah, I mean, even the Piranha is acknowledging that with their new Ripper, which is absolutely a rip-off of the Wrap.
Did you like the Wrap? Have you a chance to paddle the Wrap?
Yeah,
the Wrap's great, but I need a little time in the Ripper to see which one's definitively better.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. Well, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to come on the Hammer Factor. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we move on with the show?
No, thanks guys for putting the issues out there. I really like what Weld did with exposing Danny Mongo and his conspiracy to make everyone buy shorter paddles. That took guts, man. I've seen Danny kill for us. I thought he'd surely put a 194 powerhouse 30 degrees to your skull for that one.
All right. Well, I think
we're off to a great start.
That pretty much sums it up with the anonymous boat review guy. Thank you so much, anonymous boat review guy, and we'll see you next episode.
Thanks for having me, John.
See you, boat guy.
I don't know where to go with that one. I don't even know what to say. I'm going back to the show.
I don't know what to say either.
I love that.
Let's go viewer mail because we can go right into Scott Anderson's email.
Okay, jump in.
Scott Anderson wrote us basically begging us to set his ass straight on a couple issues.
All right.
No, he would. Is everyone sick of paddle offset yet? I mean, seriously, have we made paddle offset? Yeah, blade offset, the backbone of this show.
Yeah, let's settle this and just stop coming back to it. This is like sup. Let's let it die.
Right. Okay. Let's let this die. I'm going to say my piece on this, and then this will be it. This whole thing came about because as I've been sort of slowly getting back into teaching kayaking here and there the past year or so, I noticed a bunch of people starting out boating curling their hand around the paddle, like, they have the right hand be holding the paddle crooked, but the left hand be like curling up, and the wrist be flying up, and you're coming up real high and then back down again. I was wondering why so many people were paddling like that, and I realized it was because the offset was so low or so little that they didn't have a control hand. They weren't releasing their non-control hand. They just gripped the paddle equally tight with both hands, and their non-control hand would roll up in the air. And I was trying to get people to stop doing that, and it was impossible. Like, once they had been doing it for a few months with these paddles, they could not stop doing it. Now, guys who have been paddling for 20 years with the regular offset were already conditioned to release their non-control hand, but these people weren't. And I was thinking there's no reason for this. And not only that, it was screwing up their roll, too, because it was making their paddle plunge underwater in weird directions because they just weren't releasing their hand correctly. And then their feathers all look like when they feathered the paddle doing a draw stroke, it always looks screwy because of that as well. That's what started this whole thing. And I was like, if they just had a 45 plus degree offset, they'd be forced to release the blade. And
this is totally right. It's like you can't paddle vertically with a low offset paddle without doing something weird with your wrist. Like, what's going to happen is if you have one of these paddles, you're just going to paddle with your paddle like super flat, like you're taking a sweep stroke with every forward stroke all the time. Don't do that. Get a 45 degree offset. This is the end of the conversation. If you're using a 0 degree offset, stop it.
Right.
I use 30.
I got a 30 as well. But it is a 202.
Same here. I got a 202.
Yeah. So 202,
right.
30 is pretty much where you need to be. And just decided
that is below the minimum, in my opinion, and that's it. We're done.
I can't even tell you, too, how often I loan somebody my paddle, and they're like, oh, it's so weird that you have a 65 degree offset, and then they use it for like 15 strokes on flat water, and they're like, I'm going to get a 65 degree offset.
Right. And you guys will be with us, too, sooner or later.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Okay. John Pruitt wrote an email that we have no business answering, but I think we should because it was a really interesting question. He listened to the Mark Singleton episode, and he said, given two options for a dam, removal or regular consistent scheduled releases, what is AW's preferred path? Strictly boating standpoint, dams serve a great purpose to have consistent releases when otherwise it would be dry. From an environmental standpoint, dams are extremely damaging to the river ecosystem. He was really asking about AW's position on it, but I'm interested as paddlers who have obviously a vested interest in AW's health, what do we think? Like, I know here on the Yacht, if we didn't have a dam, it'd be the end of our industry. Upper and lower.
I mean, I think as a practical matter, kayakers in American whitewater, we're never going to get to choose, right? Like, it's never going to be up to us that we're going to get to decide whether the dam stays or goes. But I think we all have a conservation ethic, and we care about the health of the rivers. And I can't imagine AW or anyone else ever taking the position that we should keep a dam just for the purposes of recreational releases, right? Like, you would never lobby.
So if American whitewater had the choice of destroying the dam, whatever dam that is that feeds the green, it was up to them, yes or no, they would say take it down.
I can't answer that for AW, but I mean, like, would you guys? And here's the real question: is would you ever advocate to put a dam in? Because that's the same question, right? It's like, would you ever be like, we can dam the Little White, build a giant lake up there, and then we'd be able to paddle it all summer long? Like, would I ever support that? Never, 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 never. And like, I think that's
because you guys have plenty of water.
Pretty universal.
Yeah.
Well, I think here, on the green or whatnot, if you took out the dams around here, when the green wasn't running, you'd have the Little Tennessee and all the other larger rivers that are under big reservoirs that you could go paddle, and so you wouldn't have the green, but you'd have 100 other rivers. So for me, I'd remove it in a second personally. But
you'd take out the green dam.
Yeah, but I'd want to take them all out, because
no. I'm just saying the dam for the green.
No, I think Grace's point is fair, man.
No, but you're picking and choosing the answer. I mean, the circumstances.
Well, I mean, from a paddler's perspective, if you took the dam out on the green and you left all the other ones in, you would just lose a place to go paddling. So I'd still take it out.
Yeah, but let's just talk about the environment of the Green River and what's underneath the dam.
I'd still take it out. I'd take it out.
Well,
I mean, the river runs. I mean, like this year, for like 4 weeks straight leading up to the green race, the river was just running. The dam was broke. It was just flowing what it would be natural flow. So, yeah, it wouldn't be there in the summertime, but whatever. I'd get rid of it. I'd have to move somewhere else, but I'd get rid of it.
Imagine every astral boater moving to white salmon. Wouldn't that be a treat?
It's already happening.
That's what we'd have to do.
I remember we had a discussion fairly recently about the Little White being the green or not. You remember that, Lewis? We had a party at Rush's house. I remember we were discussing like the put-ins and takeouts. No, but I was like, well, we're gonna have to clean these takeouts out, put-ins and whatever, because this is gonna be the green someday. And I remember Rush was like, no way, dude. I was like, I think it might happen. Anyway, can I tell you guys a true story real quick?
Yeah. Yes.
Quick.
Is this about dams or new topic?
Did you kill a stripper or something?
I'm supposed to.
What's getting ready to happen here?
I'm supposed to ship my very first boat today from Piranha, from the warehouse, and I have to meet Old Dominion at 1:00, and it's 1:03. So I think I gotta go.
Tell me your
That being said, I think I need to tap out.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the Hammer Factor, Dave.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. Peace out. I'd love to come back.
All right. We'll have you back.
You guys.
Later.
Well, there you have it. I think that's pretty much a wrap for the show. We're way over our time limit. So
I'll say.
We
have a lot bottled up.
We do have a lot. I mean, we could go on and on. There's like 5 or 6 other tangents I could go on right now. But what did you guys think that ABRG?
I was crying laughing for the first 3 minutes.
I think there's a diamond in the rough there for sure.
I wasn't ready quite ready for that voice. I mean, I knew he was going to modulate the voice, but it was like, oh, God.
Well, I think we should see where that takes us. I don't know.
I'm going to have to listen and see what he said because I was just like,
I think at the end of the day, he made some good points. I feel like I learned something a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to look. We'll have to link. If you like the ABRG and you want to have him back, send us a message because
he was kind of hard to. Maybe we should work on cleaning up the voice a little bit.
Yeah, I hope that's intelligible in the recording.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But anyway, if you like the ABRG, send us a note. All right, now on to our final segment of the show. This is the favorite section here, the rants and raves. Would anybody like to start? I can jump right in here because I got a good one. It's about the Green River Nails race, obviously. So I want to rave about the juniors and the death of the short boat racing phenomenon. Okay, because we only had one short boat. Out of our 7 people, we only had 2 race short boat. 2 of our juniors race short boat. And they did good, which is totally fine for them to come out and whatnot. But the juniors all got it that they weren't in the short boat or the long boat class. They were in the juniors class. So it just felt super organic to have a race where it's either amateur or open, and it's your age categories. It wasn't split up into wheel size or length or like anything like that. It was super cool. So I want to rave about all of the juniors and the fact that people are understanding that the classes in the races. I'm done with boat length. I'm gonna rant about that next episode. But anyway, here's to the juniors.
Awesome, man. I'm like, contrary to the opinion of the anonymous boat review guy that longboats are just for Asheville hipsters, I'm really glad that the longboat phenomenon has spread. I feel like I was pretty into it out here, just coming from the East Coast, but nobody else had any longboats. So like, we could never have a good longboat race. Like, you could never get anybody to go longboating with you. And now everybody has a longboat, and we're all better off for it.
Yeah. Well, Lewis,
I got a rant.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever? Do you guys ever go to like buy something on the internet? Like, for example, like looking at like a classified ad for a mountain bike, and person will list off all the parts or whatever, and then they'll be like over $5,000 invested, or like people will do that for like their car ads. They'll be like over like $4,000 invested in this car or whatever. That's not an investment. You hear me? Like, if you're buying bike parts and you're viewing that as an investment, you're an idiot. Like, that is a depreciating asset. Like, you didn't invest that money.
So this is a semantic argument.
You didn't invest that money. You spent that money. You feel me? Like, so you guys either need to work on your investing strategy or on your English usage, because either way, when you write that in your pink bike ad, you sound like an idiot. Just stop doing that. You hear me?
There you go.
All right.
I think that's final. I mean, that was well stated.
Wow, that was you've been sitting on that a while. I could tell.
Your bike is not 401k. All right.
Well, you said that with a certain degree of certainty, but I don't know about that one. Some people out there might be. All right, I'm gonna do a rave, an unusual rave. I'm gonna rave about NRS. Right? NRS, who? What's that?
That's very magnanimous of you.
They have become like the Andrew Carnegie of the sport. They are wealthy beyond our wildest dreams. And I for years, it stymied me how they made so much money until I did my first real West Coast rafting trip, where I saw these RV-sized and RV-style equipped rafts floating down the river every 15 minutes, and most of it was NRS stuff they bought at NRS, and it struck me how this is all working. But they have somehow, and this is at the expense of a lot of our athletes over the years, but they have sponsored more whitewater events and athletes, I think, than anyone else in this entire industry ever has. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say back in the Teva days, they were probably a rival there. But yeah, certainly in modern times.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it out of the generosity of their heart, because like buying a titanium crankshaft, spending money in whitewater is not an investment. I can assure you.
They do some cool stuff, but
yeah, some cool environmental films.
All right, I guess that's it for Hammer Factor 35, the super long episode. It's good having Facili on. I didn't even know that until I sat down at the computer that he was on the show today, so good for him. Big shout out to Canoe and Kayak Magazine, and of course, our favorite racing organization, the Great Falls Foundation, and the Potomac Festival.
All right.
See you, boys. We'll get back into it next week.
Bye.